Welcome back. It's been a while. I may have stopped working, but the clock, it did not stop ticking. It's now the beginning of June, and originally when I said I was going to do this project, I was all, it'll be done by the end of January. It'll be on the dyno by March. Nah, life got in the way. We are now at the beginning of June. It's June, Jesus. We are now at the middle of June. It is June 13th, and I have a whole lot to do on the bike. So in tonight's video, you're going to see what is most of my fuel system complete. But just as a heads up for what you're in for, either within the next couple of months, or when I completely forget to film it all, and sometime in August, record a bunch of things going through this, here's where we sit. This is the punch list I built up tonight. And I have to, within the next month, because I have to have time to tune the bike, knowing that I'm going to lose at least 2 weekends to social activities in that time. No pressure, just all the pressure. I've got to do fuel pump wiring. I've got to do the fuel lines and petcock feed. So when you see my fuel system, it is missing a way to get fuel from the main tank into the recovery tank. And we'll get through it. I can actually run the bike on just the recovery tank if I push my luck. I think I can get 3 miles out of it, but we'll see. Anyhow, I'd like to have the tank working. I gotta find a replacement throttle body. I broke the one that I'm using, made an absolute mess of it. Gotta find another one. It's a Volkswagen 2-liter OBD1 throttle body. Surprisingly tough to find these days. So I have a throttle linkage set up. I have a single pole throttle off of a Ducati, and it's going to a single pole throttle body off of Volkswagen. It'll work, but I need to make it slightly longer and change a cable end. I'm going to reuse the factory pull cable from the Cowie. I just need to change an end on it. So I got to order those parts. I have to finish the throttle cable. I have to do a few Bonneville specific things. I've got to build the chain guard, which has to go sprocket to sprocket and then some. I have a frame in the way. This is going to be real interesting to see how I work that out. I have to build a kill lanyard, purchase and install. I have a steering damper I have to purchase and install. I have to create, and this is low pry, but with the way everything is, I have to create a bell mouth for the throttle body because there's no way in hell I have room to run an air filter. So you'll see in the video. I'll figure it out later. For the purposes of this exercise, it's just getting maybe a screen if it's lucky. I have to tune it. I have to number and sticker it up, which means registering, getting those numbers, all of that in place. And then I got to figure out how I'm moving the bike on the salt. And that's going to be a project log in and of itself, because while the bike can go from A to B, once it's teched, it cannot go from B to A or from anywhere to A, frankly. It can only be used on an active race course. And so I've got to figure out how I'm going to do that. So we'll see how it works. But for now, you see where we're at? On with the show. So we're all familiar with the phrase 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. I'm learning that this bike is only a 2.5-pound bag. There is so much crap to jam in here, and we're running out of time. So, when I say 2.5-pound bag, I mean it. So, intake manifold. There's a slot here for a throttle cable. I still need to I have to rebuild the throttle cable. I'm going to use the stock sheathing with a longer cable in it and reuse a Ducati cable stay up here to come through to here. I've got to get another one of these because I screwed this up too much. This is 2-liter Volkswagen OBD1 throttle body. You can see my fuel rail is in place with standoffs and everything. Why is it beeping at me? Okay, anyway. And this is what I've really been working on here. Come on, aim down. There we go. Swirl pot / return recovery tank. There's the line to it. Fuel pressure regulator and return. Keep me at, I think it's 58 PSI. 190 liter per hour fuel pump. And hiding way down in here where you can't really see it on the video is the pre-filter. It'd be really cool if this would let me flip directions while I was recording. But back wheels on. I'm going with the 18 as much as I didn't want to. Lots of reasons. This is a test and tune here. I'm not worried about setting a record. So I have to build a chain guard. And somehow it has to cover this despite having a spar in the way here. That's going to be fun. I think it's going to be 2-piece. Everything's there. Wheels on. Swing arms on. Fancy new shock is on. And yeah, everything's crammed in here. All I have to do is plumb all the fuel lines. I'm starting to wonder if I'm really doing hard lines like I wanted or if I'm gonna suck it up and do soft lines. Actually, let me just take this out. It'll be way easier to explain. There we go. Okay, so out of the bike, this is what we're dealing with. So this is a Walbro 190 liter per hour pump. Way overkill for the displacement, but it flows at the pressure I need. This is my pre-filter for the pump. This is my post-filter for the pump, as well as being an integral return. So I'm going to run a barb fitting in, probably somewhere right here with a 90 on it, to hook up to the petcock. I'm going to replace this with a non-vented lid, or make it non-vented, because I screwed up and didn't realize that this will just overflow out of that from the petcock. Whoops. Fill this with gas, fill the tank with gas, or frankly, there's enough in here to hold down a 3-mile run. And then fuel will come out of here. It'll come into here. We'll come out of here, run under, up, do a 180 into here. And then it's going to come out here, at which point it's going to go out, around, back, up, and into here. And then I think this one's the feed, this one's the return. I'm going to have to figure it out. Presuming such, if this is a return, the return will come 180 over to here and be able to recycle excess fuel back into here. This will then go forward into the fuel rail, which is like right here. Like I said, 10 pounds in a 2.5 pound bag. For the sake of having a record of this, this is what I built to hold those aforementioned 10 pounds of shit. This plate is keyed so I can get to the 3 bolts on top of the motor. I have little footies that I've made to come off of those that will, little forks that fit under the bolt, come over to a footy here that'll bolt in here, here, and here. These 3 tabs hold on the recovery bottle, which you can see I made little tabs for. Built a standoff here out of 16 gauge, to which bolts a fuel pump clamp that clamps the fuel pump, hence the name. This is a handmade one with yet another one of those little tabs. All thanks to Aaron and the plasma cut or plasma table. We cut out a bunch of those tabs. I'm using them here. I'm using them here. I'm using a forked version of it to hold this up. So that gets those and how they're held up. And then this looks like an afterthought because I hadn't quite figured out where it was going to live. So, well, it's an afterthought. But this is where the regulator bolts. So it leaves a lot of blank space down here that I didn't really get to use. But it makes running the lines much, much easier.